So looks like you should be seeing what I hope that you're seeing. So thanks for having me today. And yeah, we're going to talk about a topic that it took me loads of thinking before accepting to talk about it. Because can you imagine talking about how to give a talk that's brilliant, that impresses everyone? That's quite a massive challenge on its own. It takes loads of courage to accept, but fine, challenge accepted. Let's crack on. And I'm going to start by taking you in a journey back in time. Let's say that we're now 2007. So 2007, I was a young boy starting my ED career. So energetic and so excited about being an emergency physician. So that was back home in Egypt. And yeah, I was just super happy to know that my job is going to be just literally saving lives. I'm just going to leave saving a life, move on to saving another life, which is not that far from the work that we do in emergency medicine in sometimes. But my thought process was, it looks like it's a tricky specialty to get into it and to learn it in depth. So my plan was, I just kept asking, give me the book that I need to read. And then once I study it, I'll be fully equipped to know it all. So I'll be ready for my next patient, and I can confidently say, I'm happy to see whatever comes through the door in the next 5 minutes. It was kind of a complete lack of insight. Then I started the learning journey, and shortly after, I started appreciating how difficult learning emergency medicine is. First of all, I've started knowing things about myself that I didn't appreciate before. I've started understanding my short attention span, which is a common figure with all emergency physicians, I guess. And as a person, I am kind of a slow learner. I need to take my time to learn things. Give me the book, give me the time. I'll need to read it carefully and take my time to absorb the knowledge. And I found that the fast-paced environment that I have in the hospital, I found that I take them home with me. And that was a bit tricky. I carried on my day after leaving the hospital with the same pace, and that resulted into me being overwhelmed. Loads of updates to keep up with, and poor retention of information, so I was that miserable person. And I've noticed over the years, by the way, that this wasn't just me. It was kind of, most emergency physicians, as learners, they face similar problems. So over the years, I've attended so many conferences, and I would say I've attended hundreds, if not thousands of talks, and I've learned a lot about many things. And one of the interesting things that I found over the years, that there are some certain talks that would stay with me, some certain talks that I would really retain, and I would say confidently that I've enjoyed them. And I started asking myself different questions. I've started, every time I attend a talk, I started using two brains while I'm listening to the speaker. I've got the learner brain, I'm listening as a learner. I've also got the speaker's brain. I was trying to catch the tips that makes a good speaker a good speaker. And this was the beginning of an exciting educational journey that I've had over the years. So let's start with this question. So what do you guys think? I want you to scan this QR code, and I want you to try to answer this question. What's more important for a successful presentation? Do you think it is the topic or it is the speaker? And I'm afraid there is no option for both. So scan this QR code and try to answer this question, please. Is it the topic or the speaker? So I've got some answers so far. Any more? Okay, so yeah, I completely agree with you. It's always the speaker. So there are certain speakers that I know that whatever the topic is, they will give you a good talk. They can turn a very dry topic into a fun one. You will learn more from them. And I think we've all got some examples in our heads regarding people that we've had across our learning journey that we can say that, yeah, they were one of those. Okay, I've got another question here. I've got a photo of a teacher teaching students. You cannot see the faces of the students, but I want you to try to guess. Do you think that these students are engaged with that speaker? Let's see what you think. Look at that. So without even seeing the faces, you can easily tell that this is not going well. And it's easy to imagine why. I mean, look how busy the slide is. It's just words. There is no photos there. The speaker is giving his back to the students. There is no body language. There is no engagement there. And it's very easy to spot in a second, even without seeing their faces. So what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to try to tell you what I've learned over the years being on the stage few times, how to turn a dry talk into a better one. What I'm going to talk about, some of it is supported by evidence and some of it is personal experience. So sorry about the weak evidence here, but I hope that you will find something to take home out of it. Here is how I structure my talks in any conference I got invited to. When I get the ask to speak in a conference, the first thing that I think of is I've got a few things to do before even starting my preparation for the talk. I've got stuff that I do while preparing for my talk, and I've got stuff to do while presenting the talk on the stage. So let's start with the before stage. Before I prepare for any talk, I always ask, who am I going to be talking to? It makes a massive difference. I can talk about a topic to medical students and I can talk about the same topic to emergency medicine consultants, but I need to know in advance so I can level it to the right level. So never ever give a talk to an audience that you don't know. So that's the first thing. Second thing is relevance is a key. So no matter, give me the best speaker in the world to talk to me as an emergency physician about the new approach to brain surgeries and relieving the subdural hematomas, and you're not going to get me, you've lost me, because it's completely irrelevant to my work. So relevance is a key. So whenever you accept a talk, make sure that you make it relevant to the audience there. Just have a clear message in your head before starting preparing the talk. What do you want your learners to leave the room having in their heads? What's the take-home message that you would want them to have? And you should have this in your head crystal clear before starting preparing your talk. Otherwise, you're going to miss it while you're preparing. And lastly, the title is a key. So the catchy title is basically, it's your first and most potent marketing tool to get people to come to your talk. In big conferences, there'll be more than one track going in parallel, and people will just look at the program of the conference, and unless you're a public figure and you're well known to them, they'll be just screening the talks titles, and they will pick the ones that they think it's catchy. So try to have this one, try to have a catchy title for your talk and try to induce curiosity. So if for the talk today, I could title it Presentation Skills Training, it will do the job. It's basically what I'm talking about now, but I can also title it Speak Like a Pro, the mistakes that even experts make. With the second one, even good speakers will be interested to come and see what is he going to say. So try to create that curiosity with a title because it makes a massive difference. Then we move on to the preparation stage. So this is when I'm preparing my slides. Always have a powerful hook. You've got 30 seconds. The attention span of emergency physicians is just seconds. And it's probably with the newer generations, it's less. You've got 30 seconds to win or lose. If you win the attention in the first 30 seconds, you're done. And if you lose them, it's not going to happen again. And the best way to have a powerful hook is to have a story. So always start with a story. So I hope that my young Hesham story that I've started with managed to give you a good hook. But I cannot talk enough about how powerful storytelling is in terms of delivering the message that you would want. The problem, the thing about storytelling is it's basically anything. Stories deliver emotions and it triggers emotions. And any learning point that is attached to an emotion, it burns in the memory and it stays for life. So that's why probably my wife tends to remember everything about everything because she's got the capability of attaching all my acts to certain emotions. While if it comes to me, I'm very forgetful. I forget everything because quite frankly, I don't care. So storytelling is going to give you that bit of creating a helpful emotion to attach the learning points to. Stick to the rule of three. So one of my mistakes when I started my teaching career was I felt that I have a lot to give. So I wanted to give a lot within each presentation to the learners. Then I've learned over the years that if I give 10 learning points that are completely unmemorable by the end of the talk and no one is going to remember them, I'd rather give three that stays in. Rule of three is one of the rules of medical education, and they found, and it's evidence-based support, that if you give any learner more than 3 points, the retention decreases. So if you want to give three, if you want to give some learning points, stick to three. The more, the worse in terms of the retention. So focus on the quality, not the quantity. And lastly, if you're going to use PowerPoint, try to stick to the rules of the PowerPoint. There are certain rules that you should follow, like, for example, using more images than words, like sticking to the rule of 7, so don't make your slides overcrowded, and so many other things. And rehearse a lot. So before my presentations, I do loads of rehearsals. I rehearse while I'm imagining that I am the speaker. I rehearse then while I'm imagining I'm the learner, and I try to ask myself questions. If I'm listening to me giving this talk, what will I ask about? That sort of thing. So always rehearse. Then we move on to the presenting stage. And now you're on the stage and you want to own the room. And I would say it's really important to have some sort of a balanced sense of humor. And I'm really careful choosing the word balanced because it can go wrong. And if it goes wrong, it will be too bad. So try to have this kind of a balanced sense of humor and show the energy, show the enthusiasm to what you're talking about, because passion is contagious. So you all know how painful it is to listen to a speaker who's not interested in what they're saying. And I guess we all have memories about this, and it's going to be very obvious. You will see them and you will feel them from the first second they start talking that they're not interested, so you won't be interested. So try to show your interest. Always face your audience if it's a face-to-face talk, and try to have the eye contact, and try not to cross the screen while you're talking. So the screen is going to be behind you. Try to stick to one side. Don't just stay still, but try not to be over moving, and crossing the screen can be quite irritating to the listeners. So next step is to close your talk and try to have a strong closure. So try to have a very strong hook in the beginning and a strong closure at the end. And my personal view on this, I always start with a story and I try to close it at the end by closing the loop with the same story. So we go back to what we started with, and then we close the loop to ensure the learning objectives achieved. And engagement is a key. This is what you need to achieve on the stage, and you'll need to go through all what you can to achieve engagement. Use your body language, use your eye contact, use the tone of voice. Try to get your voice to reflect your emotions. Go up and down, show the energy in your voice, and try to use technology as well to improve engagement. And when we talk about in technology in this field, the word gamification comes on. And this is an important new term that you need to be aware of. It's basically using games to educate people in a simple term. It's a relatively new one. It's introduced to the medical education in only 2010, and it's proven that it improves the engagement and the retention of knowledge. So things like using VR, like using the interactive quizzes, things like what we've used in this talk. And I guess Jabin is going to talk about more of these things in the last talk, so I'm not going to go too far in this. But these are some of the tools available in the market that you can use for your engagement. Personally, I use Slido and I found it very helpful, but they're all the same. It's entirely up to you. So in a quick summary, we've talked about different tips that you can use to present with confidence, and I hope that went well. And it's all about the speaker. So yeah, it's your job to turn the dry topic into an engaging one. And lastly, relevance is a key, and try to include stories in your talk. It will help you, and it will help to empower the delivery of the message. And this is it. That's me done. So if you want to contact me, here are my contacts. More than happy to be contacted. And that is me done. Thank you very much. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Hesham. I'm definitely going to take some of those points away. Are there any questions on the comments? Gareth says, how do you play sound on Zoom?
Oh dear.
We got there eventually. Oh, good question there. What's the optimal time for a talk and presentation, would you say?
Oh dear. So, this is a tricky one, and it's going to take us to a term that I've tried. Okay, I'll answer the question and I'll give you another tip that I've saved for the questions. So I always try to imagine what sort of questions I'll be getting in any talk, and I'll try to leave one intentionally uncovered. So when I get it, I look clever answering it. So I was expecting a question about microlearning, and here we go. So basically, it's getting shorter. So there's no specific guidelines. But if you look at YouTube, for example, the move from long videos to shorter videos to increase the retention of the speaker of the those who are watching for longer, the videos are getting just shorter and shorter. So now they're talking about 10, 15 minutes. So this is what they call the micro learning. So if you can squeeze a learning point in a 10, 15 minutes talk, that would be brilliant. If you need more time, I would suggest you split the talk into multiple sessions, and each is kind of 15 to 20. From the evidence-based point of view, my understanding is your maximum is 40. No one can stay focused for over 40 minutes, even if they are interested. So you will lose them if it goes that way. But by all means, I would say 10 to 15 minutes is your average, and then you're going to lose people. So try not to cross that.
Lovely, thank you. We've got another question in there. Someone says, how much is it too much in the way of images and animation? I think that depends on personal preference, doesn't it?
It is partly personal preference, but we would all agree, or most of us will agree, about the crossing line to being irritating. So there is a level, there's a fine line between entertaining and irritating when it comes to animation in education, and it's all about it's a judgment call. So I and it varies depending upon who you're talking to as well. So in some groups, if I'm talking to medical students, I'll do my animation in a different way if compared to if I'm talking to consultants, because their response to the animation is going to be different, and what would irritate or trigger people is going to be different depending upon their age. So it depends upon on the room and your sense of it. It's all about giving the entertainment without losing control. And it's very easy to lose control if you overshoot with this. So I'd rather you being a bit cautious and have a safety margin regarding how much you do. I'd rather for the talk to be slightly on the dry side rather than to be too much with a complete loss of control.
Absolutely. And another question here. What would you recommend in terms of repetition of key points, in terms of solidifying that into your audience's mind?
Okay, so it depends upon how many key points you'd like to present and whether you've involved them in a story or not. So to me, I would focus more on the emotion part of the story, and that automatically means that I can attach many learning points to it. So if I have a strong story, I can attach more learning points to it. If I have a relatively weak or not that emotional story, then I will try not to attach a lot to it. And I don't try. If you notice recently, I've noticed that whenever I get invited to a conference, they always say at the end, send us the 3 learning objectives that you would want us to put as the learning objectives of the talk. And it's always 3. And I found that this is coming from the rule of 3. So there's an evidence around that. So I try to finish with no more than 3 learning points of each talk. And I try my best to focus more on the emotional part of the story, and or if I can't find a good story with a strong emotion, I would include a photo or an image that would empower this. So one image, one good image can just teach a lot without you saying anything.
Lovely. We've probably only got time for one more question, and there's a couple more in the chat. Um, if if you feel that part of the way into a presentation that you haven't got the audience engaged, is there, have you got any recommendations about what to do to re-engage the audience and to get them back on track?
Yeah, so it depends. Is it a virtual talk or a face-to-face? If it is virtual, it's really hard. So I worry more about the engagement with virtual talks because I don't have any tools. My power is I'm powerless. All what you have is just the upper half of me, just my face and my shoulders. So my body language is very limited, and I cannot really do much with this. But if it is a face-to-face, then it depends upon how big the room is. If the room is not that big, I will move within the room. So if I find the far end of the room is I'm losing that bit, I'm just going to gently walk slowly towards this side while I'm talking without really interrupting anything in my speech. Just walk towards this side and stand there. And that helps to just get people a bit anxious about why is he doing here? Why is he coming this way? And that will just bring them back to life. So that's one of the techniques I use. One of the other techniques is to try to use a balanced sense of humor, and it helps. If you get people to laugh or to cry, both are good from the retention of knowledge point of view, but probably laugh is better. So you can do it that way. Or what I sometimes do as well is I change the tone of my voice. So I go either too high or too low. And that sudden change in the tone will bring people back. So monotonous is the worst. Changing up and down, especially if it's a sudden change and it is in the right timing, that will make it great. They'll come back. You'll get Rosk.
Lovely. Thank you, Hesham. I think that's given us lots to think about, actually. And there's definitely lots of tips I'm going to take forward from that.